The room went quiet as my boss raised his glass. Everyone turned. I was about to speak my retirement speech when he started talking instead. To Tom Benton, Cal said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, who's finally stepping aside after all these years. And by that, I mean he's finally accepted we were letting him go. Laughter, loud and cruel. My own children laughed. My wife covered her mouth, but I saw the smirk. My chest tightened, my ears rang. That wasn't a joke. That was betrayal. I stood there, holding my speech in one hand, the other shaking slightly as I gripped the wine glass. The retirement party I never asked for suddenly felt like a funeral. But what Cal didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I had been recording everything, every meeting, every lie, every plan to shove me out before I could collect my full pension. I smiled calmly. I didn't say a word. That was the moment I knew this was going to end on my terms. Before we continue, I would like to know where you're watching from in the comment section. Also hit the subscribe button and share this video, as this will help this video to travel far, so others can learn also. My name is Tom Benton. I'm 65 years old. I worked at Landry Tech for 34 years. I built half the infrastructure they run on today, trained dozens of people, stayed late, missed birthdays, anniversaries, even funerals for the company, and they threw me out like old trash. It didn't happen all at once. It started small. Calter became my supervisor 3 years ago. Younger, slick, always with some new buzzword. He never liked me, but pretended well. You're the backbone of this place, Tom. He'd say, we'll take care of you when the time comes. But I wasn't stupid. I saw my responsibilities being passed down slowly. I was removed from project leads, pushed into mentor roles. They were phasing me out, just slow enough that no one noticed. Except me. Nancy, my wife, told me to stop complaining. Let the younger ones take over, Tom. You've done enough. Even my son, Trevor, agreed. Dad, maybe it's time to relax. Relax? While they schemed behind my back. So I started recording. Every Zoom call, every hallway chat. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to wait. And when the time was right, I'd let them destroy themselves. It really hit me the day I overheard Cal talking to Trevor in the hallway. They didn't see me around the corner. Cal's voice was low, smug. He won't last another quarter. He'll fold once we cut the bonuses. Just keep nudging him. Keep reminding him how tired he looks. Trevor laughed. My own son laughed. He won't fight it. He just wants peace. They both chuckled. Then Cal added, and once he's out, that VP spot will open up for you. I stood frozen. My own flesh and blood was helping push me out for a title. That night, I couldn't sleep. Nancy was already in bed. I sat in the living room in the dark, playing that recording over and over. How had I raised a son who'd do this to me? Still, I didn't confront him. I didn't storm out. I saved the recording. I added it to the folder I called Retirement Files. The truth was, I didn't want revenge at first. I just wanted out with my dignity. But after that night, I wanted more. I wanted the truth to come out, not just to them, but to everyone. And when that day came, I'd make sure the entire room was listening. I started paying closer attention after that. I kept my head down, smiled, and let them think I was fading out quietly. But I recorded everything. I got small clips. Conversations between Cal and HR, talks about shifting funds, even talks about cutting long-term staff before their pensions kicked in. I stopped trusting anyone. Nancy grew more distant. She was spending more time at her sister's place, always talking about how we needed to be more social. She didn't notice how quiet I had become. One evening, I found a folder on her laptop titled Future Finances. Inside, there was a plan to sell our house and move into a condo without me. Trevor's name was on the documents. My own wife and son were preparing for life without me. Before I even left, I never confronted her. I just took photos of the documents. You see, revenge isn't loud. It's quiet. It's patient. I didn't know how it would end yet, but I knew the pieces were moving. And I wasn't just going to expose the company. I was going to show everyone who Cal, Trevor, and Nancy really were when they thought no one was watching. 3 months before the party, Cal pulled me into his office. "Tom," he said, fake smile on full blast, "we've been thinking. You've worked hard. Maybe it's time we plan a graceful exit. You deserve to go out with celebration." I didn't say anything. I just nodded. "Of course," he added. "We'll spin it as a retirement. Save face. But legally, it'll be a dismissal. You'll get partial severance. Not the full pension, obviously." I stared at him. He thought I'd break. Instead, I asked, "Can I at least write my own speech?" Cal looked surprised. "Sure, but keep it light. No bitterness." I smiled. "Of course." When I walked out his office, I had my plan. I had 3 months to collect everything I needed. Every violation. Every memo they didn't think I'd see. They were building a stage for my goodbye. I was going to use it as a spotlight. A stage is a funny thing. It can be used for lies or for truth. It just depends on who's holding the mic. And I already knew what I was going to say. Or rather, what I was going to play. At home, I started keeping backups. 2 hard drives. A cloud folder under a fake name. 1 hidden flash drive. I didn't trust anyone, not even myself. I spent nights reviewing old footage. Calls where Cal told HR to rewrite certain reports. A lunch meeting where Trevor joked about pushing older workers out. One video hit me hard. Nancy, sitting in the backyard with Cal and Trevor. I had placed a recorder near the porch earlier that day. She laughed and said, "Tom will be fine. He'll sulk for a while. But once it's official, we can move forward. It's time." Cal raised his glass. "To clean slates." Clean slates? I sat at my desk, listening to that recording on repeat. I didn't cry. I didn't get angry. I just labeled the file. Porch betrayal. I started organizing the clips by theme. Fraud. HR violations. Personal betrayals. This wasn't just a story anymore. This was a record. They thought they were moving on without me. But I was still here. And soon, the world would hear exactly what they'd done. The invites for the retirement party went out 2 weeks later. Held at the company ballroom. Catered. Speeches. Music. Fake smiles. Cal made sure everyone was coming. Clients. Family. Press contacts. He wanted to humiliate me on the biggest stage possible. What he didn't know was, I'd already sent a few anonymous tips to a local journalist. Nothing big, just questions. "Have you looked into Landry Tech's severance policy lately?" I didn't expect them to print anything. Not yet, but it was enough to make them watch. The party became a trap for them, not for me. That week, Trevor came over. "Hey, Dad," he said, too cheerful. "You excited about the party?" I nodded. "Very." He paused. "You're not going to say anything weird, right? I mean, it's important to keep things professional." I smiled. "Don't worry. I know exactly what to say." He relaxed. "Good. We don't want any drama." I almost laughed. If only he knew. The night before the party, I made my final preparations. I wore my old suit, pressed and neat. I packed 2 flash drives, one in my inside pocket, one hidden in my shoe. One of them held everything. The other was blank. I didn't know if they'd try to stop me, but I wasn't taking chances. I looked in the mirror. I saw an old man, tired, alone, betrayed, but also a man who knew the truth and had the proof to back it up. At 7 p.m., I got a call from Nancy. "Tom, just checking in. You're still coming tomorrow, right?" I said, "Wouldn't miss it." She was quiet for a moment. Then she added, "You know this is for the best." "For who?" I asked. She hung up. I stared at the phone for a long time. They had all turned on me, but I wasn't going to raise my voice. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to press play and let the truth speak louder than anything I could say. The ballroom was full by the time I arrived. Everyone turned when I walked in, smiling like it was a celebration, but I saw the tension in their eyes. Cal stood near the stage, drink in hand. Nancy was by the buffet, pretending she didn't see me. Trevor was talking to some executives, laughing like nothing had happened. I walked slowly, calm. I shook hands, nodded, smiled. Fake moment after fake moment. I spotted the AV table near the side of the room. I had called ahead earlier in the week, pretending to be someone from the media team. I told them I'd need access to the main screen for a short video during my speech. They agreed. I had the USB in my hand. All ready, Cal stepped up to the mic. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "we're here to honor a man who's been with us longer than some of you have been alive." The room chuckled. I stood still. Every second of that speech was a lie. But it was fine. Let them talk. Let them toast. Because I was going to finish the night. And they'd never forget what I showed them. Cal wrapped up his speech with a wide grin. "And now, let's hear from the man of the hour. Tom Benton, come up here, old friend." I walked to the stage, holding my wine glass in one hand and the flash drive in the other. Everyone clapped. Some stood. I heard someone say, "Finally." I stepped up to the mic, looked at the sea of faces, saw Nancy looking bored, Trevor checking his phone, Cal smirking behind me. I cleared my throat. "Thank you. I did write a speech. 34 years is a long time." Pause. But I realized there's something more important than words. Something real. I want to share a small goodbye video. The tech guy nodded. I handed him the flash drive. He plugged it in. The screen lit up. First clip. Cal saying, "We'll cut him before his pension matures." Gasps. Next. Trevor and Cal laughing about how easy it is to push me out. Then Nancy saying, "Once it's done, we move on without him." Dead silence. I turned back to the mic. I don't need applause. I just needed the truth to be heard. For a moment, no one moved. You could hear ice clinking in glasses, a nervous cough, someone whispering, "Was that real?" Cal stepped forward, trying to laugh. "Okay, folks, looks like Tom had a little fun with the AV system." But no one laughed. Another clip played. Cal during a Zoom call, saying, "Just fire the old ones. They'll either retire or die. Either way, we save money." Gasps again. A few people stood. Someone from HR looked pale. I turned to face the crowd. These aren't jokes. These are real recordings. From meetings. From your own mouths. Nancy finally stood. "Tom, this is cruel." I looked at her. "You know what was cruel? Planning a life without me before I was even gone." The screen changed again, this time her voice on the porch. "Tom won't do anything. He never fights." Everyone turned to her. She froze. Trevor rushed up. "Dad, stop this. This isn't how we do things." I raised my hand. "No, Trevor, this is exactly how you do things." Silence again. Then I stepped away from the mic. The final clip started to play, and this one would destroy everything. The room fell into a deep hush as the last video played. It was a recording from 2 weeks ago, Cal and another executive in a restaurant. I had used a pocket recorder and planted it under their booth. Cal's voice was clear. "We'll frame Tom for misreporting expenses. We'll fire him for cause, no payout." The executive asked, "Isn't that risky?" Cal laughed. "He's old. He won't fight back. No one listens to men like him anymore." Gasps again, but this time angrier. Someone from accounting stood up and shouted, "You said it was a clean retirement. You lied to all of us." HR's director walked out of the room. Trevor's face was bright red. He looked like he wanted to crawl into the floor. Nancy didn't say anything. She just sat down slowly, hands folded, pretending she wasn't part of it. I looked at them all. I gave this company everything. Loyalty, time, trust. You gave me lies. I picked up the mic one last time. You tried to bury me in silence. But you forgot. Some of us listen more than we speak. Then I turned off the mic, walked down the steps, and let the crowd sit with everything they had just seen. It wasn't over yet. After the video ended, the ballroom felt like a crime scene. Whispers flew. Phones lit up. People stared at Cal, then at Trevor, then at me. Cal tried to smile. "Let's all calm down." That was taken out of context. But no one believed him anymore. One of the junior managers stepped forward. I was on that call. He's not lying. Then someone else added, "There's more. Cal's been cooking numbers for years." It was like dominoes falling. Everything they tried to hide was unraveling, right there in front of clients, partners, even local press. Trevor tried to walk over to me. "Dad, let's talk outside." I shook my head. "You had your chance." His face twisted. "You ruined everything." "No," I said. "You ruined it. I just made sure everyone saw it." Nancy still hadn't moved. She looked small now, like someone who had lost control of her own story. I walked to the back of the room, past shocked faces and shaking heads. Some nodded at me. A few even whispered, "Thank you." I didn't smile. Not yet. I had one more thing to do, because justice wasn't enough. There was still truth left to tell. The next morning, I sent everything to the press. Every recording, every document, a full timeline of what had been done to me and to others. I didn't do it out of anger. I did it because they would have done it to someone else. By noon, it was already trending online. Senior employee exposes corruption at Landry Tech. I didn't attach my name. I let the truth stand on its own. That afternoon, I got a call from the journalist I'd spoken to weeks ago. "Mr. Benton," she said, "thank you. This isn't just a story. This is a full-on cover-up. We're going public." I nodded. "Do what you have to." She paused. "They underestimated you, didn't they?" I smiled for the first time. Everyone did. That night, the board released a statement. Cal was stepping down. HR was being restructured. Trevor? He was no longer with the company. Nancy didn't come home. I didn't call her. For once, I was alone, but not defeated. I stood on my porch, listening to wind. Peace didn't come with revenge. It came with finally being heard. 2 weeks later, my house was quiet. No yelling. No fake family dinners. No lies whispered behind my back. Just me, a cup of coffee, and the soft of a morning. I got a letter from the company's legal team. They were revisiting my dismissal status. I wasn't surprised. They offered me my full pension. They knew if they didn't, I had enough to bury what was left of their name. I didn't respond right away. I let them wait. Nancy finally called. I didn't answer. She left a message. "Tom, I didn't know it would go that far. Maybe we can talk." No, we couldn't. Trevor sent a text. "You embarrass me." I just turned off my phone. They had made their choices. Now I was making mine. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't even angry anymore. I had my name, my truth, and for the first time in years, I had my freedom. I didn't walk away defeated. I walked away clean. I thought the fallout was over. I was wrong. One morning, I got a knock at the door. It was Maya, a quiet young woman who used to work in finance. She had left the company 6 months ago without warning. She held a folder in her hands. "You don't know me well," she said, "but I saw what you did. I have something you'll want." Inside the folder were spreadsheets, emails, and internal memos. Real proof of financial fraud. Cal had been shifting bonuses to himself and Trevor for over a year. Fake vendor payments. Ghost accounts. "This is what they were hiding," she said. I tried to report it once. They threatened me. I sat back, stunned. Why come to me now? "You expose them. I trust you." I nodded slowly. This wasn't just about me anymore. This was bigger. More people had been hurt. More people had been silenced. Maya left a folder with me. That night, I added her documents to a new file. Phase 2. They thought my silence was the end. But I was just getting started. This time, it wouldn't just be about revenge. It would be about justice for all of us. The more I read through Maya's files, the angrier I got. They'd stolen from everyone, junior staff, loyal employees, even the pension fund. There was a pattern. Anyone who asked questions was either pushed out, demoted, or publicly humiliated like I had been. The pieces started to fit. My retirement had never been about age. It was about timing. I was supposed to be the last obstacle before they cleaned house. With me out, Trevor would move up. Cal would take full control. Nancy, somehow, would benefit too. I remembered the condo papers. Trevor's name listed with hers. It had all been planned. The betrayal wasn't a single moment. It had been building for years. I felt stupid for not seeing it sooner, but I also felt powerful, because now I had everything. So I reached out to the journalist again. "I have more," I said. She sounded excited. "We're already preparing a full expose. This will blow it wide open." I gave her Maya's documents. No names, no credit. I didn't need fame. I just wanted the people who had built lies on my back to finally fall. Hard. And they were about to. That Sunday, it hit national news. Landry Tech accused of years of fraud. Retaliation against whistleblowers. They didn't mention my name. But I knew. Everyone who had ever worked there knew. The photos in the article were of Cal, Trevor, and the board members, all smiling. The headline made it feel like a police report. By noon, the board issued another statement. Full investigation underway. Allegations are serious. We're cooperating with authorities. I smiled for the first time in weeks. Trevor tried calling again. This time he didn't yell. He begged, "Dad, please. They're blaming me for everything." I didn't know it was that bad. I didn't answer. He texted. They fired me. I turned off my phone again. Nancy sent an email, long and full of fake sympathy. "I know things got out of hand. I just wanted security. I didn't want you hurt." She asked if we could talk. I didn't reply. She chose side. And now that side was sinking. This wasn't revenge. This was gravity. And it was finally pulling them all down. The company collapsed faster than anyone expected. Cal was forced to resign publicly. The SEC opened an investigation. Multiple staff came forward with their own stories. People like Maya who had stayed quiet out of fear. The company's stock dropped overnight. But the part that hit hardest? The pension fund scandal. Turned out Cal had funneled employee money into fake accounts. Retirement plans were drained. Some workers lost everything. My name still was in the news. But inside the company, everyone knew I started it. I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. It was from Pete, an old co-worker who'd been laid off a year ago. It read, "Tom, thank you. I thought no one saw what they did to me. I thought I was crazy. You proved I wasn't. You gave us our voice back." That one hit me. I wasn't trying to be a hero. I was just a man who got pushed too far. But if telling my truth gave others strength, then maybe this whole thing meant more than just revenge. Maybe this was finally the justice we all waited for. I drove past the company building a few days later. It was almost empty. Lights off. No cars in the parking lot. For lease sign hung on the fence. Just a few weeks ago, that place had laughed me off its stage. Now it looked like a ghost town. I parked across the street and sat in silence. This wasn't joy. It was peace. And peace doesn't always look like smiles. It looks like stillness after the storm. I took out my phone and opened my folder. All the files, all the voices, all the lies. I moved them to a locked archive folder labeled Done. I would never need to open them again. I had nothing left to prove. They fired me to shut me up. Instead, I exposed everything. And now, they were the ones erased. I didn't need to rebuild that old life. I was free to build a new one that didn't ask me to shrink. I drove home with the windows down, wind in my face. No more pretending, no more silence. Just me, and the life I had finally taken back. 3 weeks later, I got a call I didn't expect. It was from Angela, Cal's wife. Her voice was low, almost broken. I just wanted to say, I had no idea. About the money, about the company, what he did to you. I didn't know what to say. "I've left him," she added. "He lost everything. His job, his name, his friends. He drinks alone now." There's a long pause. I know it doesn't change what happened, but thank you for standing up. I thanked her quietly. We said goodbye. After the call, I sat in my chair, staring out the window. That was the moment it really hit me. Cal hadn't just been fired. He had been exposed. And the life he built on lies? Gone. Not because I screamed or made a scene, but because I watched, I waited, and I struck with truth. And Trevor? I heard through someone at his new job that he got let go again. Background checks. Rumors. People didn't trust him. That's the thing about arrogance. It always circles back. They wrote me off. They thought I was too old, too quiet. Turns out, I was just getting started. I finally said yes to the consulting offer. Not for the money. I didn't need much anymore. But because they needed someone to rebuild things the right way. No lies. No shortcuts. And I'd be damned if I let another cow rise through the ranks unchecked. I walked into the new Landry Tech office. It was smaller, cleaner, filled with new faces. The interim CEO greeted me like a guest of honor. "Mr. Benton," she said, "your room's ready. No pressure. Just guidance if you're willing." They gave me a desk. No title. No schedule. Just a seat at the table when I wanted it. For the first time, my voice wasn't being borrowed. It was being valued. Nancy reached out again through a mutual friend. She had moved out of state. Her words? "Tell Tom I'm sorry." He was right. I didn't respond. Forgiveness isn't always about a reply. Sometimes it's about letting go without bitterness. And I had finally let go. Because the moment you stop chasing what broke you, you start building what can never be taken away. 6 months later, I got a letter from a name I hadn't seen in years. Mr. Halbert, my old high school English teacher. He'd read about the Landry case in a newsletter, saw the quiet source behind it, and somehow knew it was me. "You were always quiet, Tom," he wrote, "but never weak. Some men talk loud to prove something. You always listen first. That's why you outlasted them." I folded the letter carefully, tucked it into the same drawer where I'd once stored betrayal. I opened the window and let the cold air in. This life, it wasn't what I had planned, but it was finally mine. Not borrowed, not stolen, not handed to me by people who thought they owned my story. Every win had been earned, and every scar, a lesson. They said I was old. They said I wouldn't fight. But I didn't need fists or noise. Just truth, and time, and patience. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. I disagree. Revenge is truth, served silent and unstoppable. I stood at a small staff event one evening. It wasn't a big party. No spotlight, no stage. Just a quiet gathering to celebrate the new team's first successful quarter. They asked me to say something. I stepped forward, looked around, and said, "Most of you don't know what this company was before. But I do. I saw the worst. And now, I see the best." Everyone clapped softly. I paused and added, "I'm not here to be the hero of this story. I'm just here to make sure the wrong people never write the ending again." That line stuck with people. Weeks later, someone emailed me. "Thanks for showing us that quiet doesn't mean powerless." I smiled, because I had once believed that, too, that if you weren't loud, you'd be ignored. But the truth? Quiet people see everything. And if you give us enough time, we'll burn down the whole lie, not in anger, in clarity, and in strength. The sun was setting as I walked home. No suit, no briefcase. Just me, at peace. The man they tried to erase was still standing. Not because I shouted, but because I waited. I listened. I gathered the truth like matches in my pocket. And when the time came, I lit the fire. Now, I don't need a title, or revenge, or applause. I have something better. I have myself. I have peace. And I have the power to choose who I let into my life again. Some people stayed. Some left. Some begged to return. But I wasn't bitter. I wasn't angry. I was free. So here's my advice if you're listening. Let them underestimate you. Let them laugh. Let them believe you've given up. Then press play. And let the truth speak for itself. Because when you know your worth, you don't need revenge. You just need a mic and the right moment